Hi, welcome. I'm Gina Green, and I am a teacher in a K through 2 MOID classroom. MOID stands for Moderately Intellectually Disabled, and I'm here today making this video because I want to put out some information to my parents. I'm trying to get up a few videos that are informational videos, and that way they can understand what we do in our classroom. So today's video is going to be about grading in our report card, because I know that probably gets a little confusing when they see that report card, and so I want to kind of give a little bit of information about that. So welcome. I hope you'll stay for the whole videos and learn a little bit about how I do things in my classroom. Now, this is how I do things in my classroom, not how all MOID teachers do, okay? Everybody has their own way of doing things, but I just wanted to let my parents know how we do things so they would understand more about how I do my grades, what the report card looks like, and why. So let's get started, and I will explain how I do things as far as grading goes. So first of all, in our classroom, we use an adaptive curriculum. So yes, we have to teach the same exact standards that a general education teacher teaches. We follow along the same progression. That means what they teach, when they teach, is what we teach at the same time. Okay, so we get that from our county. Our county sets up our progressions for us and tells us what order we're supposed to be teaching these standards in. So we do follow that. And we adapt those standards to meet the needs of our students. We modified lessons by using a program called Unique Learning System, and it is great for modifying some of our lessons. However, it does not follow along with our progressions, so we have to be creative and we have to find other activities, other tasks that follow the standard that we're teaching and use those. So I'm always looking for ways to teach those standards that are fun and engaging to our students. I like to do hands-on activities as much as possible with our students because I feel that's their best way of learning. And so I'm always looking for ways to use those to help teach those standards. The district has a few programs or resources that I am able to look at and modify to teach the standards. I'm not able to go by them exactly like a general education teacher would, but I am able to use those resources somewhat and follow, their guidelines, but modify them for our classroom. And so using all these things, we teach those same standards. Sometimes standards do get a little difficult for our students because they're not ready for that yet. If our student is just now learning a number, how to tell each number, or they're just now learning their letter sounds, there may be a standard that they should already know those things, and so if they don't know those things, they're not able to do the next standard. So what do we do in that case? Well, we still provide access to those students with that standard. I still, show it to them, model it for them, but I don't expect them to be able to necessarily do those things because I know that's not where they're at yet. And so, yes, we do look and cover all the standards that a general education classroom does. So, when it comes time to grade those standards. How do I do that? Well, if we're adapting the standards, we should adapt the grades that goes with those standards. So what I do is I use a rubric, and I'm going to explain more about the rubric in a minute. Let me show you what our rubric looks like. Let's see how to. Let me take. Okay. This is what the rubric looks like. Okay. I sent home a copy of this rubric at the beginning of the school year. And that way parents can have it and they can look at it when I send homework, or if they look at the report card and they see their grades, they can see how they got that grade. I'm going to go over this rubric in a minute, but first I want to take a look at our report card and kind of talk about a couple of things on it before I tell you how I plug in the grades into that report card. So, on our report card, it is a regular report card. We do not have an adaptive report card. So we use the same exact report card that a general education teacher uses. So let me show you what this report card. Let's see. This is what it looks like. Now, if you look at this first section right here, this section is a rubric in itself that tells about the grades on the report card. I don't want my parents to worry about that rubric because it does not fit us. That is not an adaptive rubric, okay? This one is an adaptive rubric. Okay, so the one on the report card, it tells what the grade is. It's exemplary if it's a 90 to 100, which means the students are above grade level. It's proficient if they meet the grade level. That's at 80 to 89. The student is beginning to meet grade level standards if they're at a 74 to 79. Limited progress means they're below grade level with a 70 to 73. Or they have insufficient progress if they're significantly below grade level, which is anything below a 70. Okay, that is for the general education classroom, okay? Ours does not pertain to that because our lessons are adaptive. They are changed a little bit, okay, to meet our students' needs. So we go by the rubric that I have instead, okay? You won't see anything, first of all, below 70 on our report cards because that's the lowest grade we give our students, okay? 70 to 100. So, basically, if my students are making all zeros on that lesson, and I'll explain that in a minute with the rubric, it's going to be a 70, okay, instead. Then that's what you will see on the report card. Okay, so with our rubric, I have 6 indicators of how they're performing on an assignment. Okay, those indicators are attending to the task or activity. What support level did the student need to do that assignment? Did that student follow directions? Did they complete the task? I also include their content knowledge because I feel that that is important. But like I said, that's not the only thing I grade my students on. But I include it in the rubric, okay? That's one of the 6 indicators. And then I have their attitude and their promptness. How were they behaving? how quickly did they come to the table to do their work? Or did they come at all? Okay, so those are our 6 indicators of their performance on that task or activity. I have 5 possible points that they can make for each indicator, except for the attitude and promptness. Now, it only has 3 points that they can make. They can make a 0 if they did not participate or if they had undesirable behavior. They can make a 3 if they had a good attitude, but they might have been late coming over to the task. Or they can make a 5 if they were on time and they had a good to a great attitude while they were working on that assignment. All the other indicators have 5 possible points. Okay, so it goes from 0 to 5. So we're going to look at those. We're going to break it down and look at it and look at how I grade. Okay, so the first indicator is attending to the task. So they would get a 0 if they did not come and participate at all. Okay, and some days I do have students that decide they're not going to comply with our directions and do their work that day. Okay, they're not feeling it. So they'll just get a 0 for that grade that day, that assignment. If they needed a little bit of physical redirection to attend, I may have to kind of walk them over and have them sit down. They don't want to come by themselves. They'll get a 1. If I have to call them more than 3 times and give them more than 3 prompts, come on, to get your assignment going, let's do this activity, come on. If I have to do that more than 3 times, they're going to get a 2. If it's 3 or less, they're going to get a 3. If I just have a little bit of cueing I have to tell them to attend, then a 4. If they independently attend, that's going to be a 5. And that's awesome. And I do have students sometimes, they'll come on over and they'll have a seat before I even call anybody over. They know I'm ready to start an assignment because I'll have my work set out. And here comes one of them and sits down in that seat across from me. And I'm like, I haven't even called anybody yet, but if you want to be the one to start, that's great. That's awesome. That makes me feel good because it's like they're eager. They're ready to learn. So I do have that happen from time to time. So if they come up there independently, or if they come the first time I call them, come on over, they're going to get a 5 for attending to the task or activity. What is the support level that those students need that day for that assignment? Well, if they didn't participate, of course, it's going to be 0 because I can't support somebody that's not there at the table doing anything, can I? If I have to do hand over hand with them, and sometimes we do, it depends on what the assignment is, what the activity might be. We may have to do a little hand over hand assistance, which is fine. They will get a 1. If I model what to do, or if I give them an errorless choice, which is something that they cannot get a wrong answer on, they get a 2. If I do a verbal or a written direction with them, then they will get a 3. If I just have to do a little bit of cueing for the assignment, then they'll get a 4. If they sit there and do it independently with no help at all from me, I'm just sitting there with them, that's independent, and they'll get a 5 on that support level. Follows directions. Well, if they didn't participate, they didn't follow directions, did they? So they get a 0. If they need teacher assistance to follow those directions, I'm having to sit there and show them or help them hand over hand with it to teach them, show them how to do it, then that's going to be a 1. If they followed about a 1/4 of the directions, they'll get a 2, half, a 3, 3/4 about, that'll be a 4. And if they followed all the directions, they get a 5. Task completion. Did they finish the task? Well, if they didn't participate, they certainly didn't finish that task. So they're going to get 0. If they completed the task, but it was with hand over hand assistance, that's basically the teacher helping them finish it. So, of course, they're going to get finished more than likely. They get a 1. If they completed about a fourth of it, a 2, about half, 3, about 3/4, a 4. And if they completed that whole assignment, which is most of the time, they're going to get a 5. Their content knowledge. Like I said, I still add this to the rubric because I feel like this is important, part of their participation and part of the way they are learning. And so I do add that in there. So if they did not participate, or if they made below a 70 on the assignment, then they'll get a 0. If they made a 70 to a 74, it will be a 1. If they made a 75 to a 79, it will be a 2. If they made an 80 to an 85, it will be a 3. If they made 86 to 90, it will be a 4. And 91 to 100, they get a 5. So it just depends on how well they kind of knew the content there. Okay, so their attitude and promptness. Again, there were only 3 points that they could possibly get with that. The 0 for not participating, undesirable behavior, good attitude but late to task, a 3, and on time and good or great attitude, a 5. So those are the possible points they can get. Okay, so let's just say that I have an assignment in front of me that the student just finished, and I went and had a stamper made. I don't have it with me to show you, but because it's at work and I'm at home. I had an ink stamper made that's got the indicators of my rubric on it. And so I'm able to stamp their paper, and I'm able to put in that score beside it. And it's making grading so easy because it's right there in front of me. So just say that this is what how the student performed on an assignment. So, attending the task or activity. Let's say there was 3 or less prompts that I had to do to get this student to come and attend. That will be a 3. Okay. What was the support level needed for that student? Okay. We're going to say I needed to model how to do the lesson for them this day. So we're going to give a 2 on that part. Did they follow directions? Yes, they followed all my directions. So guess what? They're going to get a big old 5 for that. Did they complete their task? Yes, they completed all of it, so they're going to get a 5. What about their content knowledge? How well did they know the content? We're going to say they made 84. So that's a 3. And their attitude. I'm going to say, okay, since I had to do 3 or less prompts to attend, that means they were probably a little bit late to getting to the task. So they were not on time. So it's going to have to fall under late to task. But they had a good attitude, did a great job while working. So they're going to get a 3 for that. Okay, so those are their scores for each indicator. Like I said, I'll have the stamper, so it'll have the indicators listed beside it. And so we add those points up. So I have a 21 for that example. So I will go and I will look at my scoring down here at the bottom of the rubric. These are the points and their equivalent grade. So a 21 is equal to a 91. So this student made a 91 on their work for the day or for that time. Okay, so that's how I get their grades. And I feel like this way it covers the whole student and the way they participate. Okay, and so then the 91 will go into the grade book under whatever standard we were working on. For example, if we were working on, let's say, under geometric and spatial reasoning, under math, we were working on shapes that day, something having to do with shapes. Well, I would put the grade of 91 under mathematics, under the geometric and spatial reasoning, and I would have to put in the name of the assignment and everything, and then it goes into the platform that takes our grades, and then what happens in that platform, it averages up all the grades under that particular standard. So if there are more than one, if there's more than one grade under geometric and spatial reasoning, it would add them together, average them together. And so the average of those grades is the actual grade for that standard, that particular standard. So that's how the grades are calculated. Okay, and I hope that made sense. So once they're into the report cards, like I said, it populates under each standard, and then the program also calculates the term average for those grades. So at progress report time, which is 4 weeks into our term, it will show a term average of what they've made so far by calculating all those grades. At the end of that term, it'll show everything and show you. And then, of course, at the end of the year, we have the end of the year average on there. And so general ed students, they'll look over here at that rubric and they'll say, oh, this is what I made. So, for example, this grade right here for reading literary, somebody made a 94. So they're going to look over here and say, oh, look at there. They exceeded grade level standards. Not with the adaptive curriculum, because we adapt the lessons, the grades are also adapted. So they do not meet that rubric on that report card. Very important for you to understand that, okay? Don't worry about that rubric. X it out. Okay, and follow the one I gave you. If you need another copy, if you don't have it for some reason anymore, let me know if you want another copy, and I'll be glad to print you up another one. So you'll have that with you to go by, because that is the way I do it, and I want you to understand how I get my grades. I don't want you to just say, what in the world? Why are they making all these 94s, 98s, 87s, 89, whatever they're making? Why? You want to know the why behind things. I know as a parent, I want to know the why behind things. And so that's the why. That's what they did. That's how they performed that day. Okay? And so using this rubric is very helpful, and it gives me the information I need from that student on how they're performing, and not just what they might know about that particular subject. And of course, they have good days and they have bad days. So that content grade doesn't really tell me what they know or what they don't know, because they may have a bad day that day without me even realizing they're having a bad day and make a low grade. And so I think a content grade is just not matching up with my students. And this matches up because I'm seeing, how long is it taking them to come attend to the table? How well are they following directions? How well are they completing the assignment? All that, the whole shebang, okay? That's what I go by. And I hope that makes sense. Okay, so, and I hope that explained the report card a little better, instead of you getting it and looking at their rubric and saying, wait a minute. I wish we had an adaptive report card to go along with what we teach, but we don't. So we have to adapt our way of putting in grades for those report cards so that it fits our students' needs, because I want to be fair to my students. I want to make sure that I'm doing right by them and that they are getting the grade that they deserve by the way they're performing on the assessment. And I want parents to be able to understand how I come about those grades, because we definitely want to be on the same page with that, okay? I hope this video was informational, was helpful to you. I hope it provided the answers to any questions you may have had. And I hope that you will look at the next videos that I put up. I'm going to try to put up a few more. I know I'm going to try to do one on our core words. I also sent that home with you at the beginning of the school year. So I'm going to do one that talks a little bit about the core words and some activities and things that we can do, that you can do at home to work on those, because remember, this helps our students communicate with us, these core words. And so I want you to know what we do in the classroom with those and things you can do. So look for that video coming up. Also, I'm going to try to do a video on our unique learning system. I know I've talked a little bit about the benchmarks with you, but I'm going to kind of go over, the different things we do in the unique learning system, so you'll be more familiar with that program as well. So look for that video, and you'll see in it they also use core words in the unique learning system. So that's good. I'm also going to try to do a fun video about our sensory bands in the classroom, because I like to do fun things with the kids. I like to do things that meet their sensory needs, and the sensory bands are so much fun for them. They really enjoy them, and I enjoy making them and giving them to them and letting them work on them and do them. And so I have several in my classroom that I have made, and I've bought a couple of them too that were already pre-made. So I'm going to kind of do a video to show you, what I have, and give you some ideas maybe that you can use at home. You probably already have your own ideas, and some of you may already be using sensory bins at home yourself. And if not, that might give you, some ideas. Hey, let's try this at home, because the kids are really enjoying this. The only thing, you just make sure, they get that supervision while they're doing these, because our students do like to put things in their mouth. And so this is something that has to be monitored while they're working on the sensory bins. Which is not a problem. But, that's just a reminder that does have to be, it's not an independent thing. It has to be well monitored so that they don't eat the things. So I'm going to do that video with that. And if there is anything that you would like to see a video on, let me know. And then I will do my best to try to do an informational video on that. And if I think of any other things that I might do some videos on, I will do them as well and let you know. I will be sending out the link when I get the videos made and let you take a look at them. And please, I hope you'll look at them and enjoy them and get information from them that is needed and helpful to you. Because yes, I am here to teach my students. I am here to love my students. But I am also here for the parents, okay? I'm here to help support you as well as support my students. Because if we work together, we're a team. If we work together and you kind of have an idea of what we're doing in the classroom, it may help you at home with some things to do with the students, and we can work together and be on the same page and do the best for our students. That's what we want. That's the main thing. And so, like I said, I want to be able to support my parents as well, and to provide y'all with the things we're doing in the classroom, and explain some things that we do to kind of let y'all have an idea of what's going on and the fun things we do in the classroom. and how I grade and and teach core words and stuff like that. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. It should be sent out to you soon, and I will see you later.